Okay.
The Empowerment Show aims to equip individuals with the necessary tools, knowledge, and confidence to make informed decisions and take control of their lives. It also focuses on ensuring access to essential resources and the opportunities.
Hey, Michael.
What's up, Miss Williams? How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Listen, thank you so much. This is last minute. I just dragged you onto this podcast with me. And this podcast is very, very informal. But
Okay. Because I didn't prepare anything for you.
I know, but you know what? Um, right before I jumped on, something came to mind and that I wanted to share. But also just before Kendall left on Mr. Stevenson got off, he said to me that I didn't put anything under my name,
Mm-hmm.
like you did. And I told him, I said, I'm flying on the different radar tonight. So,
Okay.
yeah, the background is from boots to heels. So at some point I could be in boots and at some point I could be in heels.
And
So
and in both cases, you're always stylish.
there you go.
So
Well,
it's
thank
so
you.
shiny. Boots on the ground.
Thank you. But so I wanted you on, Michael, because we have at the Women Veterans Museum the 9/11 event that's coming up where we're talking about it's a memorial. As you know, you have been there before, you have shared your experience, you have brought
Yeah.
other individuals onto to the museum to share their experience, which I thought was great. But right before you came on, something came to mind. So right now I'm operating, so where you are, Michael, you're on Thursday. Where I am, on Friday.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah. Yeah. So
Friday
good
morning
morning.
for good morning, and I should say good evening to you.
Okay.
Okay, yes. So
Technology.
if those who are watching, if you don't know, I'm coming to you live from Paris. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
should be in my bed.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. So, bonsoir, mon ami.
I don't speak French,
Oh, yes.
so
Okay.
but Michael know all about these different time zones and what it does to you, and he seems to be very much familiar with all these time zones. So yes, I should be in my bed, but I'm here, joined by Michael. But Michael, I just wanted to share with you that I've had my phone die right before I came on, and so now I'm sorry. So I have a charging port on the back of my phone, and it's
Okay.
saying that I have 2 minutes. But I just wanted to share, I just got a new phone on Tuesday,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Monday. And several individuals will be looking at my phone and they'll say, hey, I called you and it's saying your memory is full. And I'm like, no, it's not. Because I'm looking and it's only telling me that I have two or three messages. I'll clean those out and they're still saying my messages that my memory is full. My message is full. So I got this new phone, and when I got the new phone, it started going off like crazy. And Michael, you wouldn't believe that there were messages from 2023 and
2020.
24. Yes,
Okay.
that never came through, but I couldn't see them. They were somehow in the background.
Mm-hmm.
So as I started to clean out those messages, some of them I didn't even bother looking at. 2022,
Yeah, yeah.
23, I didn't bother looking at them. I started looking at the or listening to those in 2024, the late part of 2024. And on those messages, there were two phone calls from my dad.
Hmm.
Now, you may know my dad passed away in February of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So there was two messages from my dad that where he had called. I guess he thought that I had called him. And so he was picking up the phone and he was talking to someone. And they were asking him, who's on the phone? And he kept saying, it's Christine. That is what he calls me. And he kept saying, Christine, Christine. So just hearing his voice and um, him calling me and not knowing, and I missed the call, but in hearing his voice, I started thinking about him, and it felt so real, like um,
It's like a dream.
yeah, but it just then I started thinking about it. I said, grief is something that you'll sometimes think that it's, well, you never get over it, but you don't speak about it. But then something like this happened, and it's like, for me, it was like real time
Mm-hmm.
that I hear him calling me, made me feel like I wanted to pick the phone up and call him back
Mm.
to say, hey, sorry, Dad, sorry I missed your call. But it's just like, I just wanted to share that piece of it because at that moment I also got very emotional. Like, I missed the call, but I never heard the call before, never got the call, but it was there for me right before I actually um, came here, before I left for Paris. That was when that happened, you know. So just wanted to say this to anyone out there that have lost a loved one. At any moment, something will happen that trigger all those beautiful memories of those individuals, and just take comfort in the fact that um, in their memories, and if you feel like crying, you cry because the loss is so great, and it's just like something that you'll never get over. And on the most unexpected moment, something will show up or intrude into your daily life that remind you of that person, you know?
Oh,
And
but
then,
by far, yeah. I think anyone who grieves, I mean, anyone who, when a person passes, whether it be, a sibling, a loved one in general, you're always going to feel that. Time will pass, and something will trigger the memory. Whether it be someone says something, it's a phrase that either your parents said or your cousin said, anything that triggers. And that, to me, I look at it as, with your that lost message, to me that means the spirit is there, that person's spirit is communicating with you in some capacity. So it doesn't necessarily have to be just a dream. It could be just someone says something, wears something, and it triggers. I have my emotional highs and lows with the loss of my parents. It's not just the holidays, it's not just Mother's Day, it's not just Father's Day, it's not just only on Christmas or New Year's, Thanksgiving. It's every throughout the year you're going to come across something that triggers a memory, and it'll be smiles, and then there'll also times you'll be lost, and people, um, quiet. I noticed that also on to the world at large. What I deal with is on public, and working on the airline. You see passengers coming across, and you wonder why they're disappointed. Sometimes it's not just the life of going through TSA or going through security or rushing through. Sometimes it's just life, and sometimes a person just needs a holding hand, or the fact that you recognize, just like, yeah, it's just part of the life cycle. So it doesn't surprise me that you got that voice message, but I do doesn't surprise me too that your voicemail is always full. So until you fix that, that doesn't surprise me.
but I have this mindset of positive thinking.
Hmm.
So I felt like, how you put a spin on that whole thing is that there was a reason for my voicemail to be full, in order to
Yeah,
preserve that message from my dad, or that, where he's calling me, to preserve that. I mean, I have to put that positive spin on it, and this is why. I mean, my dad's birthday will be July 28th.
hmm,
Will be his birthday, and so it's just his month. So I mean, like, I felt like
he's
that was his
communicating. Yeah, yeah.
he's communicating. So it was a reason why my voicemail was full, and I never got those messages until right now.
That's why
And maybe,
you
yeah,
never forget. You never
yeah,
forget
yeah,
that person,
yeah.
and that says a lot, because that means that individual had a significant impact on you. So when you get these images and so forth, or voice text messages, it's just like I say, I believe they're still communicating with you, even though the shell of the individual is gone, the spirit still lives on.
Yeah, and yeah, it was a profound moment for me, you
Mhm.
know. And I still, and right before you came on, I was thinking about that, and I said, I happened, I needed to share that. That sometimes you have to be open,
Mhm.
and I told myself recently that I am going to be where you have to be open, where you become naked, to more express yourself or share, your feelings or sharing things with others. And you don't know whose life you might touch or whose life you might change, and sometimes it's just good to share whatever some of these experiences, and it might be just like you said at that moment when someone comes on that plane, you don't know what they're going through or what it is. Maybe they just need their hands to be held, to and it's without saying any word, it's a form of communication.
It's
Like
a form
I
of communication. Yeah, you learn to read the room, and then people, when you get that touch, when you hug, it's like thank you, and that's all they needed. That's all basically what they needed.
Yeah. And I think, Michael, that's something that I think you have done very well with. I've known you for um, several years, and I think you're very perceptive in that matter to people and how people feeling and their reaction, And just to go back to like we're planning our 9/11 memorial, and I remember about 2 years ago when we had that memorial service, which is
Mhm.
about an hour. You came in and you brought some of your coworkers with you. And I, my my landlord said to me later on, actually early this year, about how she was so floored. She was crying the whole time because of the stories that were shared. I don't know if you can hear that noise in the background. Can you?
I can. I don't know if you're in the room or a hotel lobby.
I'm inside the hotel lobby. I'm just not sure. These people just all came in, and all of a sudden we have all this noise.
No, it's okay.
Oh, you know what? It's the group that just
Uh,
came in. Yeah, so I'm not even on the first floor. I'm on the mezzanine, but
oh,
they're so yeah. Maybe I'll just move away
well,
from the door. Yeah,
I guess
but
that's what's
Michael,
happening when it's live.
yes,
Oh, we have. You
okay. I'm not sure how this is.
okay?
A little better. Are you still hearing that background noise?
Um, it's minimal. I could hear it, but it's minimal. You're in a public space.
Right, right, right.
That could be so. It's not as much, not as much, but it's okay.
Yeah,
But I think that's what you were saying. It's like from 9/11, which is approaching. I can't believe it. It's
yeah,
July entering August. I'm just not ready for the year to be over.
yes, yes. But as we prepare ourselves for that memorial service, I thought about with remembering my dad and looking forward to what we have coming up. And I remember you sharing, bringing your some of your coworkers and sharing those stories with us, and about their experiences on that day. And I want to say thank you so much because it was so touching, and it opened also another page for some of us who we were getting a lot of things from the TV, and we're getting a lot of things, but not actually learning from those individuals or in that profession how they felt, and I know what, so, and with that 9/11 approaching, and we're getting ready for our memorial service. How do you and your coworker deal with that day, or as it's approaching? Do you have like, do you guys think about it? I
Well,
mean, different. Everybody thinks about it, but how does that affect you?
So it's different for everyone. Just to the wider audience, I'm a flight attendant with a major airline, and what Claudette was speaking about is the day of 9/11 memorial service that we were very fortunate to be invited to discuss our perspectives on the tragedy. Ironically, what we see is that people focus on the firefighters and the police, as well as every rescue worker, because it happened on the ground. It happened at the World Trade Center, happened in the Pentagon, and it happened also in Pennsylvania. And that's clearly the focus. But what's often forgotten in the story is the pilots and the flight attendants that were struck first. Um, the protocols at the time was when a hijacker, in this case, that would be them, they would make themselves known. Our training was to comply, but not thinking the tragedy, what the events took place, as far as it was the flight attendant's neck that was slashed, and then they made their way into the cockpit, and there was the pilots, which their necks were slashed. They were the first victims of that whole tragedy that started a horrific event, and that's why we say never forget. Now, the images are still real, even though time has passed. One thing that the union does, along with the company, but mainly our union, is to provide employee assistance programs where since 9/11 of that year, they have dispatched individuals as far as access to therapy. It's real. You never forget. People deal with certain issues differently, tragedies differently. So it's good to have those resources. There are people who opt not to work that day. They may take there are individuals who are still affected by it. They either see a professional, mental professional, or just don't work that day, or take that month off. I myself, as I tend to work that day if I can, if I want to. That's only because I would never allow those terrorists to change the way I work, to change the joy that I do. So that is the reason why I continue moving on. But that's not for everyone. That's how I deal with it. But I'm glad there's mechanisms in place for individuals to do self-care, self-evaluate, and move forward from there. So to answer your question, each person handles it differently, but the union itself provides mediums. So and the airline, for individuals who wish to, seek the necessary help in order to deal with that tragedy.
Yeah, and speaking about the union, you guys are like you said, you guys were the first first individual, the frontline responders. And but talking about the union, you guys are actually going through some issues right now with the union and with flight attendants, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So just so that's a little more elaborate, but yes. So we are currently going under. We have been in contract talks. Our contract expired in 2021. Is now year 2025, and we are still without a contract. And we just reached a tentative agreement, and so the tentative agreement has been reached, and now the members must seek to see if they wish to accept or reject the agreement. But let me tie it with other labor groups too are going through. So other flight attendant work groups at different airlines are going through it all. But let me just bring it to 9/11. So 9/11 happened. That was a tragedy. Then there was bankruptcies because people were not traveling, and then the airlines could not figured out a way that they had to do something to sustain the business model. Then you had mergers, and then you had the pandemic. But since 9/11 happened, again, that was a tragedy with loss of lives. But as a business model, they looked at it a way of how can we break the contract. This was called crisis. There are people who take advantages of a crisis. So corporations, and I'll just specifically name it with the airline, take advantage of a crisis and they try to break the contract or minimize. So the value or compensation package has dwindled since then. They got rid of the pensions because they said they can't afford a pension. They started to change the work rules, so it'll be more challenging that you have to work more. And they lowered our pay rate per se. So now that we're in 2025, we are asking for a significant increase in compensation and some improvements in our work environment. So that's just saying how the business model has changed. And for those of you in a wider audience, just think about it. Right after the Persian Gulf War, the second one under George W. Bush, he went into Iraq. He went to Afghanistan and then went into Iraq. Interesting, gas prices went up, spiked drastically. And so the airline says we can't afford the gas prices that are going with the current situation. So we're going to introduce bag fees. So they introduced the bag fees to offset the gas costs. Ironically, when gas prices went down, what still remains? The bag fees. So it's basically they take advantage. So as far as the airlines, they saw 9/11 and they said, okay, how do we take advantage of our workforce to change the work rules, make them work more for less, and get rid of a retirement pension plan? The crisis happened in Gulf War II. Okay, fuel prices went up. Let's see, how do we take advantage of the public to offset the cost of gas? Bag fees were introduced. Even though gas prices went down, those bag fees remain still there, even though gas prices go down. So this is where we find ourselves as far as that's a whole corporate mentality. They take a situation and flip it around to see how they could take advantage of the workers as well as the public.
So they lost all concept. So they, as you say, 9/11 happened. They found a way to take advantage of everything. They forget what happened. They forgot what you guys did. And then also, it's always the consumer anyway, if that's gonna inherit all of that stuff that's going on. Like you said, the bag fee, the gas, that everything. But Michael, I just want to say thank you to you and your all the flight attendants, those pilots. Thank you so much for what you guys do, because we take it for granted when we get on a flight. We take it for granted. We're just getting into our seat. We're wondering what, like I heard some people say, even on our flight here to Paris, oh, what are they serving? What are they doing? Because we're feeling, and that is real. They're feeling so comfortable, because you guys are there and you guys know what you're doing and you guys are taking care of us. Okay. And some people may not believe that. They're feeling, oh, we bought our ticket, but they don't realize that at that point when they board that plane, they now gave their lives and everything else to you guys, and you guys are the ones that's taking care of us. So I just want to say thank you very much for what you do, what you and your co-workers do, and those pilots that are in that cockpit. Thank you so much. And this is why every memorial 9/11 we will, and the Women Veteran Museum and Military Family Services, we will continue to celebrate what you guys are doing, but also remember those lives that were lost, and those pilots and flight attendants that were the first responders, or those first individuals that paid the ultimate sacrifices. We will continue to remember them, and I hope that, and I know you will continue, you and your beautiful wife will continue to celebrate with us what we are doing, and so that we keep remembering and never forget about those individuals and never forget what happened, because this is only if we forget, we're doomed to repeat it. So we have to continue to learn, and we also have to remember.
We no, we do. Despite the current administration's efforts to try to erase your memory or have a revisionist aspect of history. Yes, correct. We can never forget. We could never forget.
I was here in Paris. I'm here in Paris, and I went somewhere today. And you talk about remember, And I went somewhere, and you know how in Paris you have the outside cafe. You always want to sit outside and have something. And I was doing that today, but with my girlfriend. And when we got there, we got a table that was seated for two.
Hmm.
And I said, "Oh, I want the window," with my back turned to the window. And she got that first. And then my back was turned to the street. And there's so much activity going on. And I just said to her, "I can't sit here." And I said, "I can't sit here because I need to see what's coming. I need to see my exit. I need to see my entrance. I need to see everything." So just to go back, being myself as a soldier that has been overseas and been, Operation Enduring Freedom, Operation Iraqi Freedom, those are some of the things that we experience. Those are life experiences that
It
changes
changes you.
our life, changes your behavior,
Hmm.
but that doesn't mean that you're not whole. It's just that your whole perception of things have changed, your behavior has changed, and change is not bad. That is growth. You have to look at life and put a positive spin on everything.
Hmm.
And that is what I'm practicing that on a daily basis, and this is what I wanted to bring to this show. Moving forward, we're all about the positive side, but we won't forget about what brought us to those emotions that we're now feeling.
Yeah, yeah. Those are real. Those are real. Um, uh, and it's just part of the life cycle, being part of being human. So it is. It's good that we talk about these things, and I think it's good to have that conversations one on one or in group, because you don't know how this interview is impacting someone else.
Yes,
Listening, they're like, "Oh wow, I never thought of it," or saying, "I thought it was just me." No, it's not just you. Everyone's going through it differently, but you're not alone. You're definitely not
yes.
alone.
And Michael, I just want to say thank you so much for jumping on with me tonight. Where our time is up, I am going to try to get me some sleep.
Yes, so please do, please do, please do. Yes,
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 but
yes.
I
Enjoy
appreciate you
enjoy
coming.
your stay. Enjoy your
I
stay.
sure, I sure will. And as I say, anything that you face in life, take a look at it and put a positive spin to it, because life is not all bad. It's how you view it and your own perception. And if you think positive, then positive things will happen. I will say good night, or I
All
say
right.
good morning or good afternoon. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. You have yourself a wonderful afternoon, morning, even wherever you are.
Same here. Au
Thank you.
revoir, Claudette.
Okay, au revoir.
Lonely.
All right.